Hey, Pashur here. Welcome back. I hope you're all staying safe during these crazy times. Today we're going to be discussing face paint tips and tricks here at Pro Air University. This is my first Facebook Live ever, so I'm probably going to say about 1,000 times. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, knock my iPad over and that type of thing. So be prepared for craziness to ensue. I might tell a story about some of my experiences. I might rant about something. But regardless, I hope it helps you out and you get a lot out of this on your path of face and body painting. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. So I probably won't say hello to everyone, but I will surely try to do my best. I'll check in from time to time on the feed. If anyone has any questions, please ask. If a question slips by me, I'll try to loop back around and answer the questions. But regardless, at the end of the video, we'll do some Q&A, and you're welcome to ask stuff. So there it is. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If there's a delay, I apologize. It's just Facebook Live. If you do have questions, please keep it on topic. What we're going to cover today, we're going to be covering our face paint portfolio. We're going to talk about body painting art, how to come up with design concepts. We're going to talk about the top 16 essential designs to have in your commercial body paint portfolio, how to get face and body paint jobs, time management, working with clients, dealing with them, what to charge, and some art class recommendations. And like I said at the end, some Q&A. Some of you might go like, oh, well, Bob does it this way, Janet does it this way. Good for Bob and Janet. These are all just based on my experiences, the advice that I'm going to give. I've been body painting for 24 years. Is it the only way? No. But take what you find useful and discard the rest. Like I said, there's going to be lots of useful nuggets in here, and I hope you dig the information. Let's go on and dive in. Face painting. Don't struggle with the designs. Like in the past, I've been at gigs and people will ask me for something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate it when they ask me how to do a wolf or something like that, just because I haven't practiced it. So what do we need to do? Google those designs. Look up the designs that haunt you and practice them until they're perfect. That's all it really takes. What I suggest doing is make a list of 20 boy designs, 20 girl designs, and 12 miscellaneous designs like a zombie or an exotic eye design. And on week 1, do nothing but practice that one design. Let's say tiger, for example. You're going to practice that tiger, you're going to practice it, you're going to practice it, you're going to practice it, and at the end of the week, you will have mastered that tiger design. And then on week 2, practice a butterfly design. Practice it until you nail it down. At the end of the year, you're going to have 52 awesome designs. You're going to be like a face paint Jedi. You'll be painting Baby Yoda faces. But make a list of, like I said, 20 boy designs. You got shark, dragon, spider, snake, pirate skull. 20 girl designs. You got butterfly, unicorn, mermaid princess, dolphin, stuff like that. And the 12 miscellaneous designs would be like a necklace, a tribal design, zombies, things like that. Stuff that not are just for boys and girls, but adults or teenagers or anyone. But anyway, practice those and you're going to be great. You have one design a week. Do that. That's what I suggest. Take a sip. Also, aim your designs towards your target audience. What does that mean? A lot of you do split cake or rainbow cake, flowers and things like that. But does a 5-year-old kid really want a English teacup rose? Probably not. They're probably going to want a dolphin or a shark or Dora the Explorer or something like that. So have designs in your arsenal that are not just split cakes and rainbow cakes. If you do roses, have a cartoon rose, have a tattoo rose, have a split cake rose. Have something for everyone depending on their age and personality. Okay? Now, how many times has an adult said, oh, just paint whatever on my face? And you go, okay. And you paint a butterfly on their face and they go, oh, I'm not really a butterfly person. And you're like, oh, well, you didn't say paint anything except for a butterfly. So one of the things that I do when I was face painting is I would say, oh, what kind of design do you want? Do you want something exotic? Do you want something whimsical? Do you want something gothic? And they're going to say, exotic. I want something exotic. Well, of course you do. I fed you the word exotic. I want you to choose something exotic because I'm good at painting exotic designs. I don't want you to choose something that I suck at. So I basically feed them, steer them into the direction of where I want them to choose. So that will help you paint designs that you're really good at. Let's see here. Another thing, respect yourself. Everyone, by the way, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you're going to dig this class and find it useful. Going back to what we're talking about, respect yourself. One thing I do is I see a lot of face painters that will paint in a venue with no light, and they'll have a headband strapped to their head with a light on it. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is a sign that the person that's hiring you doesn't really respect you. They don't have any respect enough to get you light. Well, demand that your client get you light in your contract. It's their job to figure out how to get that light in there, and unless you're splunking in a cave, leaving the light at home. And this isn't to criticize people that do that. It's just to, for your best interest in mind, make sure you get the respect from the client that you deserve, because you're all awesome, right? Of course. Are there any questions on this topic? Feel free to type them in, and then we'll end up going back and, getting to those questions. Time management is next. We're going to talk about that. In the past, I go do these jobs and I'll bring other people to help me in, and they'll try to showboat or something. And the problem is that they don't get the job done in time. They end up trying to do such an amazing job and to be the star of the show that the project doesn't get completed. They'll run out of time. So make sure you manage your time efficiently. One thing to do is before a gig, make a list of all your steps. So you're going to say, okay, I need to put the pasties on the body paint model. I got to base the model out, put the details on. I got to do all the last looks, like make sure to paint their fingers and then the cracks of their knuckles, and put sealant on the bottoms. Not sealant, the double tape, the double-sided tape on the bottoms, and then you got to seal the paint. All these things take time. So you want to make sure you allow that, factor that in when you're doing a body paint design. Maybe you have an assistant that's going to do that for you. Anyway, this is all going to help you come up with a good time estimate. So manage your time wisely. One thing that I do when I'm body painting is I do a thing I call scan and sweep. What is that? So let's say it takes 6 hours to body paint someone. Well, about 4 hours into it, I'll start just scanning their head down to their toe. Be like, okay, from here to here is now going to be done. And then I'm going to focus on here to here, and then that's going to be done. And I just scan like a scanner. I just go down the list and make sure that they're all painted. That said, plan to be done about 2 hours before the client asks. What do I mean by that? So let's say the client says, hey, we want you to be done at 6 p.m. Because that's when the event starts. Well, that means at 4 p.m., the client's going to come in and they're going to say, oh, we got VIPs here. We need you to bring the model over photos or photos for a magazine or this type of thing. Well, the design won't be done, and they'll be like, oh no, we need them. So plan to be done a little bit earlier than the client always says. That's always a useful tip. Another body paint tip I want to share is the collage of faces. There's a lot of body painters out there that love to paint a collage of faces on the body. Someone did it once and they won a contest, and everyone said, well, to win, I have to do that. Someone drank the Kool-Aid, and now people think multiple faces on a body make great art. It does not. Maybe you were inspired by your school yearbook and you wanted to paint 200 faces on a person. That's fine, I guess, but I might suggest therapy or something. But why? Why should you not paint a collage of faces on a body? Well, answer me this. Where's the creativity in a collage of faces on the body? Does it have technical skill? Absolutely. It's very difficult to paint a face on a body. It does show technical skill, but technical skill is only one part of a body painting. You got composition, you have use of color, you have balance, you have craftsmanship. These are all things that you need to have in check when you're doing a body painting. Plus, painting a collage of faces that's been done before. So think outside the box. Think about this also. Every piece in an art gallery is not a portrait. If so, that'd be a very dull world. So try to do something a little bit different. Someone just asked, do I charge for sketches before the job, and how many sketches do you allow? Yes, I will do a sketch beforehand to show the client, but I do charge for it. And they get one revision free, so I'll make a change if they need it, but any changes after that, I do charge for the revisions. Also, thank you so much for the question. All right, so let's see here. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's see here. Design concepts. What is your goal? Is your goal to body paint for art galleries or magazines or movies or fashion shows? Because they all have different approaches. Fashion shows are a bit more sexy. Magazines have more of an editorial couture look. Promotions might include a logo. So do a little research to what you're trying to do, what your goal is. So then how do you come up with those designs? Well, maybe you're inspired by a song lyric or a band, or maybe the title of a song, or maybe a movie like Tron, for example, had a very stylistic look. So therefore, maybe you want to body paint someone that has that kind of look as like a movie. Also, have reference folders full of files. At my house, on my computer, I have hundreds of files of these are all Aztec designs. These are all cat body paint designs. These are all designs for superheroes and whatnot. So every subject thing you can think of, I have tons of reference photos that I've downloaded over the years. And I'm like, oh, one day when I paint an Aztec design, I'm going to refer to that folder of designs. In the Illustrator world, that's called a morgue file. But we call them like reference photos, reference files, reference folders, that type of thing. Paint what you love. If you love cyborgs, paint cyborgs. If you love flower designs, paint flower designs. So feel free to paint, what your heart is into. Do I have different price scales for different venues? We'll talk about that when we talk about what to charge. Also, another thing I do to come up with designs is I have these templates called the X-ray templates. I designed them a few years ago and I sold out of them, but you can surely cut out a template of a body and use them. So you know what I'm talking about if you go to canvasalive.com/X-ray, X-R-A-Y. So canvasalive.com/X-ray. I have a sample up there of a design that I created based on one of these X-ray templates that I have. So make sure you check that out. Sketch out some ideas. Sketch out 10 ideas. If you sketch out 10 ideas, you're going to come up with something probably pretty good. But if you sketch out 10 more ideas, your better design is probably going to come from that next set of sketches. Why is that? Basically just getting the creative vibes going, getting your brain going. And that's going to help you come up with some really cool ideas. That's something I kind of learned in art school, where they made us do 25 sketches for a logo, and then they made us come up with 25 more. And usually, 9 times out of 10, the best ideas came from that second set of 25. And that's another thing. When you're doing body paint competitions, if you want to do really great, come up with a design that's so great, but then come up with something to beat it. Because if you can beat it yourself, then someone else probably could too. So think about that too. Put the link in the comments. Let's see if I can do this. I've never done this before. Let's see here. canvaslive.com/X-ray. There we go. All right, so if you have any questions on that type of stuff, please ask. A question is, do you use paper or scratch or technology? I'll use anything. I've had designs go viral that I sketched on a napkin at a bar. I sketch digitally. I have a Wacom. I also have a Wacom, I think is what they say. I also have an iPad that I sketch with. I'll sketch on paper, newsprint. I'll sketch on anything that's handy, actually. So sketch away, but definitely sketch. Definitely come up with a good, strong concept before you just start painting, is what I suggest. Be sketchy. I like it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about essential designs to have in your portfolio. Now, we are talking about a commercial body paint portfolio specifically. This is different than if you're, let's say, trying to get into art galleries or something like that. So if you want to get hired by like magazines or live events or promotions of any kind, this is what I suggest. These are 16 essential designs to have in your portfolio. So if you're starting from scratch, you're just starting out, you have nothing, this is what I suggest. The first thing is have a logo. Why do you have a logo? You're going to get hired to do promotions, conventions, grand openings. So that's kind of who you're targeting with that. So definitely have a logo. You could even say like your logo here. That'd be really nice. Clients will be like, oh, I could have my logo here. And, they might not even know they want to have a logo painted. But if you show them, you plant the seed, they're going to go, oh, yeah, I think I will hire you to paint a logo of my company on a model, and I'll pay you this amount of money. Cosplay. Have a cosplay design. That's number 2. And these are not like, an or priority. These are just like the list of number 2. Cosplay design, which is a pop culture or superhero body painting for Comic-Cons. That's who you're targeting. Painted clothing is number 3. Perhaps jeans and a local team sports jersey would be good. So, for example, if you live in Kansas City, you might have the Kansas City Chiefs jersey on there. If you live in Dallas, you might have a Dallas Cowboys jersey or Houston Astros or whatever the team is. Jeans and a sports jersey would probably be pretty good for painted clothing. An animal design such as a tiger or a zebra. It could even be a reptile. Anatomy would also be good. That could be skeleton or the muscle system. Also muscle contouring. That's like shaded abs and shaded body contours. You should have that in your portfolio for sure, because you did get asked for it a lot actually. Zombies. This covers your zombie walks and Halloween. So that one design alone will cover you for all that stuff. Camouflage design. This is where you paint someone to blend into a background. You could blend them into nature. Some people call that a nature blend. But basically, a camouflage design, those are really great for events, promotions, advertising. So definitely have like a camouflage design in your portfolio. Chrome. This is where you paint someone solid chrome. This is very simple to do. It's just Maron metallic powder and baby oil. Do not use any other type of oil. Don't be using like cooking oil or anything like that. So do not do that. Nothing flammable. So baby oil and the Maron metallic powder makes chrome. And when people see it, it looks stunning. It only takes about 15 minutes to base the person down. Looks awesome. Have something like that in your portfolio. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Just checking in here to see what everyone's saying. So thanks for tuning in. We're talking right now about essential designs to have in your portfolio. We've already covered a few. Next on the list is illusions. Illusions are very popular. I'm sure, I don't think there's anyone that has not tagged me in the shoe body painting where the person, moves in their high heel shoe. So illusions are always good. An editorial couture fashion piece would be really great to have in your portfolio. Something like this would be like in a high-end magazine. You can look at different magazines online or Barnes & Noble, that type of thing, and we can get back into Barnes & Noble. But it will give you the idea of the type of designs I'm talking about. Lingerie design is the next thing on the list. Let's say this is good for personal gifts. A lot of people will be like, oh, I want to get painted lingerie and give it to my significant other as a gift. So that's just a really good, fast one to do. It takes about an hour to paint lingerie. So let's say you're charging, $300 or $400 for the lingerie. That's easy money because you just made it in 1 hour. It's also good for burlesque shows. You might paint 3 or 4 people in lingerie for a burlesque show, and then you've just made $1,000 to $1,200. Get what I'm saying? Day of the Dead face would be next on the list. Obviously, you need to have that in your portfolio because that's a very popular, highly requested thing. UV designs. Definitely have a UV design in your portfolio. On a little side note, I will be teaching a UV body paint workshop at the BAM event, which is bodyartmastermind.com in St. Martin in November of 2021. There'll be a few other painters there. I think Nick Wolf, Jay Batista. There's a few other painters that are going to be there. So make sure you come check that out. And artistic abstract design. This is geared a little bit more towards art galleries, so that you're showing, you're kind of well rounding your portfolio out with something that's artistic that you can show an art gallery, and that should hopefully help. A design that's all you would be the last thing to have in your portfolio. So whatever you're into, whatever your style is, if you paint cyborgs, if you love, like I said, painting flowers or pirates or whatever it is, have something that's all you in your portfolio. Okay, so those are 16 essential designs to have in your portfolio. I hope that's very, very helpful. Next, we're going to be talking about how to get jobs. How do you get jobs? How do you get face paint jobs? How do you get body paint jobs? Well, the number one thing I recommend is get off your butt. Get off your butt and go make some calls, send out some emails. A lot of people put up their website and they go, why am I not getting any work? Well, are you hustling? Because you got to hustle. I'll hear people go, I can't believe that person got that job and I didn't. I'm a better painter. It doesn't matter if you're a better painter. What matters is getting off your butt and hustling and making those calls and landing those gigs. You get what I'm saying? Maybe they worked harder. Maybe they knew someone. Maybe they undercut you, in which case they're an idiot. But regardless, make those calls. I think one of the things that I would do when I first started out was I'd hustle and make those calls. You call people and then no one needs you right away. But then like 8 months later, you can get a phone call or an email and they're going like, hey, are you still face painting? Are you still body painting? Are you available? And you're like, yeah, I'm available. But I wouldn't have gotten that gig if I hadn't, reached out 6 months before, 8 months before. You get what I'm saying? Face painters. One good source of income is doing the restaurants, the restaurant circuit. What does that mean? So let's say on Monday you call up a restaurant. You're like, hey, can I come paint for your kids' night? No? Okay. Next place. Hey, can I come paint at your restaurant on your kids' night? No? Okay. Then you call the third place. Hey, can I come paint at your restaurant on your kids' night? Oh, I can? Great. Then you have a gig on Monday. Then nail down a gig on Tuesday. Then nail down a gig on Wednesday. So you have a gig every single day. Let's say you make $200 at the restaurant painting for a couple hours. Well, then in 5 days, you'll have $1,000. That's $4,000 a month. And if you get 2 restaurants a day, that's $2,000 in 5 days. That's $8,000 a month. So I hope that helps. So face painters, that's a good way to make a little extra income, is the restaurant scene. That way you have guaranteed work throughout the week, and then you can focus on your birthday parties and corporate events and things like that during the weekends. What about body painters? How do body painters get work? It's a little bit trickier to get work for body painting, I think, because people have less clothes on. So what do? What are some places you can go get work? Sorry, wet my whistle, folks. One thing I recommend doing is doing the convention center scene or expos. Simply all you do is this. Look up a convention center website, your local convention center, for example, and it will list all the conventions coming, throughout the year. And then you go onto that website. Let's say it's a air conditioner repair of America convention. Sounds pretty boring. But you then go on that website and then it lists all their exhibitors, and then you write one simple little 2-3 sentence email that says, hey, how would you like models painted as frost to hand out flyers at your convention booth? And then you just send that out to every single exhibitor, and it's a numbers game. One of them is going to say yes. Let's say you email 100 exhibitors, one says yes. Well, if you're charging $1,000 a day, you just made $3,000 in 3 days, because conventions are usually 3 days long and they need a model painted each day. And all you did was just send out some emails. So convention centers is like a really great way to get some income coming in for body painting. Another is liquor distributors. So that would be, for example, like there's a company I think called Southern Wine and Spirits. There's a couple other depending on your region. Just look up local liquor distributor and it'll list it online. And so, for example, a liquor distributor will hire you to, let's say, promote Kahlua on Tuesday at some nightclub. And then at some other nightclub, they'll hire you to promote Malibu rum. And then on Thursday, they'll have you promote White Claw for ladies' night. Now, this doesn't mean painting during the club hours. This means painting models up with, like, let's say the brand logo, and then you're gone before the club even opens up. So might try liquor distributors as a way to get some money in. Who pays the model? That's a great question. Who pays the model? The client always pays the model. Basically, your job is to show up and paint. The client has to pay for the model. So if your rate is $1,000, that's all for you. If your model's getting paid, the client has to pay them on top of that. Is it good to talk normal days biz stuff? I don't know what that means, Carolyn. Please rephrase your question, and I'll see if I can answer that for you. Talking about nightclubs earlier. Nightclubs are not a good way to make money in the scene. Now, can you? Sure, but it's more of a younger person's game. They really want someone that's in their 20s to be at the nightclubs painting, not someone in their 50s or 60s. I myself am in my late 40s, and I'm too old for the scene, and that's okay. We evolve into other things. But even as a younger person painting in a nightclub scene, it's dark, you got to chase down your money, which hopefully you've snagged money up front in your contract. So I don't really suggest nightclubs is a good way to make money in the body paint industry, but different strokes for different folks. Make a list of 25 companies that you want to work for. Maybe it's 25 local companies. Maybe make a list of 25 national companies, and then email them, call them, reach out to them. You're not going to get the jobs with them if you don't at least try. So reach out. Okay. Is it good to talk about things that are non-virus? Thank you for that. Okay. Thank you. Allies. It's better to work with other painters versus against them. In some places, when I've traveled around the U.S., it can be very territorial. And like people want to be like the main person in their area for face and body painting. Well, if you have one job and another painter has one job, you both have one job. But let's say you bring in another painter to help you out, and they bring you in, then now you both have two jobs. It's just simple math. Work together, not against each other. Help each other out. Thank you, Paulette. How much do you want to make? What do you charge your client? How much do you want to make? Do you want to make? How do you make $2,000 a day body painting? They charge you. You have to be willing to charge those prices. Face painters, you should be making $100 per hour minimum. I'm not saying you should be making more than that. Maybe you're charging $150 an hour. I used to get hired by companies in the 90s to do jobs, and they'd pay me $200 an hour when they were charging $300 an hour. And if we go like, oh, our rate's $100 an hour, why are these people making $300 an hour? That's crazy. Well, people will pay it. When I was in the early 90s, I was drawing characters at a theme park. Drawing characters, and I was getting paid $35 an hour, which at the time, I was like in high school, college, and I was thinking, oh, $35 an hour, that's pretty good money. Well, at that same gig, I found out there was a person dancing around in a gorilla outfit making $100 an hour. And I was like, what? I'm putting talent and artistic skill out there, and I'm only making $35 an hour, and this person's just jumping around in a gorilla outfit making $100? Which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that person earned that $100 because it was probably hot as all get out in that gorilla outfit. But that day, in the 90s, my rate went up to $100 an hour. That was in the early 90s. It is now 2020. It's been like 30 years. So you should definitely be charging $100 minimum, if not more. Maybe $125 if you wear a snazzy vest. Maybe $150 if you, I don't know. You get the idea. Charge at least $100 an hour. If you're charging below that, we'll talk about that in a second. What about body painters? How much should you be charging? I suggest $1,000 a day minimum, but that's just meaning don't go below the $1,000. There are exceptions to the rule, of course. Maybe you're just painting something simple, like just a quick logo. But even then, it will end up eating up your day. You're like, okay, well, I'm just going there to paint a logo, but then maybe you have to be there to take it off. So you think you're going there to paint a logo, but then you're there for 8 hours, 10 hours. they're paying you for your time as well. So $1,000 a day minimum is what I suggest. If they want a model, that's extra. If they want a headpiece, that's extra. If they want props and accessories and that stuff, that's all extra. $1,000 is just your base price. Give your client package options. Hold on a second here. Rates are not that high levels. Let me tell you, everywhere I go, when I'm traveling all over, people go, "Oh, not my area. You can't get that here." You can. Look up whatever the equivalent is, obviously in euros, for like in Europe and in pounds in the UK and whatnot. But whatever that equivalent is, that's what you should be charging. I taught a workshop in the UK, Face Paint University, and I was telling everyone that they could be making more because they're only making 35 pounds an hour. I said, you could be making more. You could be charging 70 pounds an hour. And they're like, no, not here. And at that workshop, this girl got a call, and I said, charge 70 pounds, whatever it is. And she did. And she lives on I think, if I remember correctly, like a small island in the UK. And she got 70 pounds an hour. You can't be like, my rate's $100 an hour. If you be like, hey, my rate's $100 an hour, I'm going to show up and I'm going to, knock people's socks off with how good the painting is and that type of thing. So you have to sell it and you have to deliver. You have to deliver what you say you're going to deliver. So you can charge it. You can make it. You just have to charge it. And you got to be willing to lose a couple of jobs, but you'll make more in the long run from the people that will pay it. How many times have we, as a client, called and said, can you do this job? We got a low budget. And then you show up and they got like donkey rides, 20 inflatables, this, that, and the other. Well, where'd that money come from? It came out of your earnings because they suckered you into, not taking, what your worth was. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, give your clients package options. What does that mean? Basically, let's say you go, okay, it's $1,000 for the body painting. It's $1,500 if you want body painting with a headpiece and some accessories, or $2,000 to have two people painted with a design across their body. That might have not even been something they even thought about, but if they go for it, then you just made an extra $1,000. Do you get what I'm saying? All right, cool. Like I was saying, don't charge under $100 for face painting. Let me put it in perspective for you. Let's say you're charging $50 an hour, which is too low. Let's say you're charging $50 an hour to do a gig, and another painter is charging $125 an hour, okay? And you go work the same gig with them for 4 hours. You just made $200, and they made $500. You could have made $500 too, but you didn't charge it. How do you make $2,000 a day? You charge it. You get what I'm saying? All right. Now, again, there are exceptions to the rule. What do I mean by that? So, for example, hey everyone. For example, I have a friend that calls me for local gigs. She's a face painter, and I'll do a gig for her for $85 an hour. That's because that's the mate rate. She's my friend. I'm gonna hook her up, so that way she can make a little bit more too, and she keeps the gigs coming. So exceptions to the rule. Let's say you go, well, I'm going to donate my services to a charity. That's fine. That's great. I think that's really superb. I mean, there's a lot of good charities out there. But how many times have we gotten a call and they say, hey, can you do this face painting for this? It's for a charity, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But tell them to get a sponsor. Tell them to get a sponsor for your face painting. So that way it doesn't come out of their pocket. It doesn't, but you also make the money that you want to make, right? For example, body painting by Pashur, sponsored by Pro Air. Or it doesn't have to be a makeup company. It could be complimentary face painting by Deborah, sponsored by Little Jimmy's Chicken Shack and insurance. Doesn't matter. Point being is, if they get a sponsor, that means it doesn't come out of their pocket and you make the money that you want to make. Hopefully that helps you. No one to say no. Stop giving away your artistic talent. Prestige does not pay the rent. When you do, it sells yourself short. It brings down the market. Respect yourself, respect the industry. Like I said, no one to say no. On that note, I'm going to tell a story. So, But before I do, someone here says to make 100 euros, it's even hard to be paid. One, you got to make sure you get your money up front. In your contract, they pay a deposit, and they should pay the balance upon arrival before you even start. And again, so maybe it's 80 euros or 80 pounds by comparison. I don't know what the conversion is, but you know, the equivalent of US $100. But moving on, I have a story I want to share. So when I lived on the East Coast, I got hired by Playboy to come paint models at the mansion, and they wanted me to paint 23 models. And so we negotiated a rate, and then on the phone with me, they said, and just so you know, you're going to have to pay for your own airfare and lodging. And I went, well, you're a professional, and I'm a professional, and the professional protocol is you pay for those things. You know what they said? They said, okay. That was it. There's no haggling. There was no, like, you know, going back and forth. They expected me to go, oh, okay. You just had to be willing to say no. Be like, no. You pay for those things. And that line about you're professional and I'm professional, and that's the professional protocol, that's very powerful because it kind of puts their arm behind their back to let you know that you're not going to be messed with. So hopefully that helps. Yes, and Jimmy's Chicken Shack, they can sponsor you. All right, so you're talking about contracts and like the deposits. Let's talk about contract checklist. You want to make sure you get your deposit, get your balance before you show up to the job. I mean, I've been doing this for 24 years. I've been screwed over so many times, but I've learned. You know, there's winning and there's learning. There's no losing. You take these things and go, oh, you know what? I'm going to adjust my contract to make sure that doesn't happen again. And you adjust your contract, and even today, I'll add something to my contract. It happens. So here's a couple of other things. Make sure your client puts you in the shade if you're painting outside, and that does not mean under a tree. Make sure the client does not put you right next to a loudspeaker. You know, think about the things that you don't want to happen and put that in your contract. Make sure you're not standing on cables or in an area where people have to walk by. Make sure they provide you light. Make sure the client has the space ready for you. I've showed up to gigs where they go like, oh, here's the area you're going to set up in. Just move these tables and chairs. No. I'm here to paint, not move stuff around. Move it so I can start what I'm here to do. All right, so make sure you do that. Go above and beyond what the client asks for. You don't want to bring your A game. You want to bring your A plus game. All right. You know, when I lived in Orlando, a lot of heavy hitters there. You know, a lot of great painters, and you had to like really do a good job to make sure you didn't just look like some chump. So make sure you bring your A game. But even if you're by yourself, you know, bring the A plus game, not the A game. Even if you're painting a gig by yourself, you want to go all out. I did a gig a few years ago when I lived in Vegas where I painted for this client. I went all out and had a model painted as like a tree woman, like a nature, called it Human Nature, and made this. My wife helped me make this headpiece, and we did all these accessories and things. But we knew we were going to get good photos out of it. And we did it for 3 days for this client, and the client was like, wow, you just blew my mind with what you did. Look through our catalog of photo equipment, because it was a photo company, and anything in this catalog you can have as a tip. And I said, well, don't tell me that, because I'll choose one of everything. And she went, done. What? Crazy. The point being, though, is that if you go above and beyond what the client expects, things will pay forward, is the whole point of that. From those photos, the image ended up on the cover of Illusion magazine, and I got a couple other jobs from it, and then people still hire me today to replicate that type of design. So go above and beyond what the client is expecting. Make it above satisfactory. You've got to bring your A plus game, not just the A game, and it will reap rewards long after the gig itself. Okay. One thing I do is I give my clients the diamond treatment. What does that mean? So if I feel like a client is going to be difficult, and what I'll do, let's say I'm painting a Save the Gorilla Foundation. Let's say I've been asked to body paint for the Save the Gorilla Foundation. I'll tell the client, it's like, you know what? I'm going to put a jewel on a leaf, like a diamond on a leaf right next to the gorilla's face, because gorillas are like the jewel of the jungle. And the client's going to say, let's lose the diamond. And I'm like, okay, you're the boss. No problem. Well, I gave them something I wanted to change, because they're going to change something about my piece, because every project is like their baby and they want to have like their hand in everything. So I fed them what I wanted them to change, so that way they won't change something that I didn't want them to change. So I give them something very obvious to change. So I call that giving the client the diamond treatment. Again, that's only if I feel like the client's going to be difficult or something like that. Moving on, I got my little notes here. Art classes. Let's talk about art classes. A lot of times people say, what art classes can I take? I'll go do a workshop. They'll say, what art classes can I take to help me be a better artist? Because maybe they didn't have an art background or something. I suggest taking some anatomy classes. Learn the parts of the body, learn the parts of the muscle system, the skeleton. That's going to help you know the blueprint of the body better. Color theory, learn what colors to use. Like, for example, when you have orange and blue next to each other, they complement each other. But if you blend those two together, it makes brown. Or you're going to learn things like that in color theory. Or, for example, if you have a pink flower, what color complements pink? It'd be lime green, because you have red, and a tint of red is pink. And you have green, and a tint of green is lime, or like a bright green, and that's what will complement. So when you paint a flower, a pink flower, lime green leaves, looks so good. So you're going to learn things like that in color theory. Life drawing classes will help you be a better artist in general. Obviously, take as many face and body paint classes as you can. Go to as many face and body paint conventions as you can. Hopefully that was going to help. And that kind of wraps up pretty much everything I was wanting to talk about. Does anyone have questions? I know I've missed some questions. Let's see here. If I can scroll down here through these. Does anyone have any questions? How about festival booths and standard rates for vendors? How about festival? Okay, so it's a very interesting point, that question, Frank. When I lived in Vegas, every time we'd call a place, we'd say, "Hey, we want to come set up here," and they go, "Well, our vendor fee is this. It's $500 for our vendor fee." And what we would tell the client is, or the festival, is we would say, "Well, I don't even know if we'll make that much. How about I give you 10% of whatever it is that we make, and we'll just do it on the honor system." And they're like, "Well, 10% is better than nothing." Okay. And so that's how we'd get around it. It would work probably like 85% of the time. It doesn't work every time, but it doesn't hurt to throw it out there. If they go for it, cool. If not, what do you have to lose? So that's what I might suggest for that right there. What do you look for in an assistant? Someone who's dependable, someone who's nice, someone that can help me out. And like, for example, when I have an assistant, I'll, without sounding like I'm barking orders at them, basically, I'll be like, "Hey, can you go get me a cup of water? Can you wipe this leg off? We're going to redo this. Can you base this leg in blue?" And there's someone that's just willing to, help out wherever you need it, no matter how small or crappy the task is. That's what I look for in a good assistant. How do you get started in airbrush? Best way to start. What's the best way to transition from hand painting? Well, I would suggest, practice, jump in there. Make all those dots with the airbrush. Like when I learned to airbrush, I was in college, and my professor said, "Next week, come in with an airbrush illustration of a hand, a rock, glass, and wood. See you next week." I had to teach myself airbrush. In retrospect, I wish I could go back and do all those little things like painting dots, painting lines, practicing all those things that I didn't do. So I suggest that. There's a lot of great airbrush products out there. Badger Airbrush is a great company to get stuff from. There's other companies out there too. There's like Awada. Check it. There's a airbrush getaway camp in Texas called Airbrush Circus. You might check that out. I'm sure Pro Air obviously sure Pro Air probably offers classes all the time. There's probably going to be some here on Pro Air University, so make sure you check those out. Let's see here. How do you work with models that are no experience or wiggly? Well, it's always good to find out a little bit about your model beforehand. For example, what's their hair look like? What's their breast size? Do they have tattoos? Do they have scars? Do they have piercings? What's their current hairstyle? These are things that are really essential to know that will change your design. So that's why you need to know those things. Short hair is going to work good for certain designs. Longer hair is going to work better for others. A cup is going to work better for some designs. D cup is going to work better for others. I've worked with models that, have had surgery and their belly button or their navel is like 3 inches over from the center of their body. And you just got to roll with those punches. Some are going to be wiggly. I will not have music playing when I'm body painting because the model likes to dance to the music. So, no jams, no music playing. What kind of brushes for body painting? Body brushes. For doing detail work, I love using the Low Cornell 795 series. That's the yellow handle with the navy blue tip at the end of it. It's a nylon bristle, and they take the paint so good, and you're just getting great results with those brushes. Let's see here. What else? What other questions have I missed here? So Stephanie asks, the client picks the model. Do you allow them to choose the model too, or do you present them with suggestions? So what I do is sometimes the client will be like, we need you to find the model. And I'll say, well, just so you know, and I even have this in my contract, I'll say, I will assist in helping you look for a model, but ultimately it's up to you to secure and pay the model. Why do I do that? This way, if the model backs out, the client doesn't yell at me or want to deduct payment from me or something like that. Because therefore, it's really on them. Your job is to body paint, not be a model agent or model wrangler. That's a totally different job. There's model agencies out there for that, just for that reason, because it can be a pain to, have a model, you're waiting for your model and then they bail. They don't show up. Always have a backup plan. But I will say, let me help look for a model, which means I'll throw out the casting net. If no models are interested, then I say, hey, you know what, I had a little bit of trouble. I think I'm going to have to let you take care of it and, hold the reins. And that's fine. Usually the client's like, well, thanks for trying. I don't think I've ever had a client get upset that I couldn't find one. And there it is. So let's see what other questions we got here. Will there be a replay? You can go back and watch the video from the beginning if you didn't catch the beginning of this workshop. What's in my kit? A little bit of everything. Hello, John Jones's daughter. In my kit, too much is in my kit. When I'm traveling, I condense it down. When I do stuff here in LA, I'll bring more than what I need, just because that way the client will go, oh, wow, this person's so prepared. I'm glad we brought them in to do this job. Kabuki brushes, yes. I love the Kabuki brush. Basically, my favorite one so far that I've used is the Vargas medium size from Royal Langdon, just for basing large areas. I will not do anything, for example, like, let me think here. Like, let's say I'm painting a corset. I don't use such a small area, like just the base of the corset for the Kabuki brush. It's if I'm painting a large area, like a whole body is like the Incredible Hulk or something like that. Let's see here. What other questions we got here? If you have a question, feel free to ask. I'm going back here, checking out other questions. Hope everyone's staying safe during these crazy times. Let's see here. Okay, if a company sponsors you, does that give them the right to use your art in their advertising? Well, a lot of times, like if you go to, like, for example, a show, a makeup show, and they're sponsoring you by having it at the booth, everything needs to be said in contract beforehand. So in other words, it says, like, basically this is called rights of usage. So for example, if you paint something for a company, let's say at their booth, they could use in their advertising, and more than likely you're probably going to be fine with it. However, it should be stated in contract that they have rights to use the image or advertise it or use it in their banners or ads or website, whatever. It really should all be in a contract, so that way nothing's like no, you can't use this, and it'd be like a friction with you and that sponsor. It's a very good question, actually. What's something random, unexpected you started carrying in your kit? I have a friend that makes something called a paw palette that's really, really cool. Basically, it's a little magnetic palette that you can use for doing makeup and whatnot. The problem is I have too many neat little things in my kit that I can't use them all. I have stuff in my art cabinet. They stack up of just like, oh, I'm going to use this in a project one day, and then I never get to it. Let's see here. Is there anything specific in your contract you feel every artist should protect themselves? The contract, every job is different. I used to work with a photographer in Orlando, and the photo shoot would take, a day, but he would work on the contract for days leading up to it. It would be very, very big projects. He had to make sure he adjusted the contract each time he did a job. And that's what you have to do. You have to look at all the different variables that are relevant to that job and make sure that you just always have a contract. Go online and look up party entertainment contracts. It's like a guide, but definitely have a contract for every job you do. Every time you go, oh, I'm not going to need one this time, it always comes back to haunt you. So always make sure you have a contract. Let's see here. Unexpected thing carrying your kit. I already talked about that. What type of cover-ups do you like using on your models? That's a great question, actually. Okay, so for the pasties, I really like the monster pasties. I think those are really great. Josh Council makes a really cool patch covers for the lower half. Those are really good. Something that might be a little more cost-effective is something called a Shaboo. It's made by ShabooCouture.com. They're based in Huntington Beach, and basically it's like a pasty for your lower half. For guys, I will use a dancer's belt, which is what you get at ballet shops. It's nude in color and skin tone, and it takes the paint, just like the bottoms from Target for females. Those also work good. So those are the things that I use. Do I mix mediums? My first 8 years into body painting, it was all airbrush, no hand painting at all. And then I started doing some face painting stuff, and now I do both in my kit. I find that my best designs have about half and half in there. Like maybe I'll base down the model, and then I'll airbrush some details. No one says you have to use just one or the other. Use both. Hand paint the base, airbrush some detail, go back in with some hand painting, go back in with some airbrushing. Do a little bit of it all, actually. You really struggle with composition. Sketches is where it's at. Use the body contours to map out the design for you. So, for example, your shoulder is round, so maybe have a round shape there. Your ribs come down into an angle, so have your flow of line work come down with the contours of the body. Let the contours of the body map out your design. That's really what I could suggest that for that. Let's see here. Just so you know, we got a lot of really good people coming up here this week. We have Michelle Trademan, I think is going to be tomorrow. We got Alex Hansen coming up, Jay Batista, Dutch Bahari. They're all going to be doing workshops this week here on Program University, so make sure you check them out. Just so you know, a few things that I'm working on. Basically, I've been working on a little bit of illustration work. I've created an animated TV show that I'm working on pitching. And it's not picked up, but I'm pitching it. Hopefully it will get picked up. And also I have, bear with everyone, I have a comic strip that I've been working on called Turd Comic. So make sure you check that out. This is the character right here. He's a little cute turd. So make sure you check out turdcomic.com. Also, upcoming Zoom classes. I'll be thinking about doing a caricature class, maybe charging $20 on Zoom. if you think you might be interested in that class, let me know. Also, I'm thinking about going over on Zoom like a lecture, which is a collection of my work, and talk about how I achieve different things on each of those pieces that are on my website. If you think that might interest you, I was thinking about charging $5. Let me know. Let's see here. Hello, everyone. How do you take care of yourself when you are out on jobs? I take care of myself. It's funny you asked that. When I was in college, art school, we would do these projects that would take days to complete, and I'd stay up for 3 and 4 days at a time in order just to get these projects completed, which was very foolish, but I had to get the projects done. And I was always feeling like sluggish, and like I drink all this like soda and coffee, caffeine to stay awake. Definitely do take care of it. Take care of yourself. Don't stress on these jobs. They're just jobs. If someone got mad at you, let's say you face paint someone and they said, I don't like this, guess what? They're going to walk away and you're not going to see them again. Problem solved. I mean, they might give you a bad review on Yelp, but let's say they do. Don't let it get to you. It's like you're not going to please everybody. One year I was at one of the conventions and I had a model that I'd body painted, and someone said, hey, Pashur, like, how do you like that design you did? And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty happy with it. I set out to do something and achieve the goals of the body painting. And as I was walking away, I heard him go, man, what a jerk, the way he just rubs it in her face. I'm like, what? They just asked me if I liked the body painting I did. That same day, I'm rushing to a class to teach, and my model's with me. We're rushing because I'm going to use her as the demo. And I rush to get to the class, and I hear someone go, man, what a jerk, the way he doesn't even say hello. Just like I snubbed him or something. And it's like, what? I'm just trying to get to class. You can't please everyone. No matter what you do, there's someone that's going to be upset. Either that and or I'm a jerk. I don't know. But my point being is, take care of yourself. You can't please everyone. Stay healthy. Yes, definitely drink lots of water, for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Also, have some ebooks. If anyone is interested in my ebooks, they're only $5. They're on canvasalive.com/shop. I have a zombie book, pirates, spiders 2.0, and snakes. Again, they're just $5, and that's at canvasalive.com/shop. Let me put it up here just real quickly for those that are interested. If not, that's okay. Let's see here. Please follow me on Instagram at Pashur Body Art. I also have an illustration page, so follow that at Pashur Illustration. Also, my Turd Comic at Turd Comic, TURD Comic. If you enjoyed the lesson, make sure you tell everyone. If you did not enjoy it, stop lying to yourself. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Lynn, for the positive shout out there. Let's see here. Handling models passing out. Definitely make sure the models move every couple minutes. Every time I paint a model, every 2 minutes, give them a second to move around because they will pass out. You have to make sure the model eats something beforehand. If they do not eat something, they have a higher chance of passing out. A lot of models don't want to eat because they don't want to look bloated because they're, don't have any clothes on. And you'll say, what did you eat? And they'll say, a grape. And you're like, no. You have to eat more than just a grape. You have to eat more than just a cracker. Make sure you have a balanced meal beforehand because, it's going to be hours. It's going to take hours to paint them. So, by the time they're out to pose, they're not going to feel bloated and whatnot. So make sure they eat something, okay? UV tips. UV tips, always with black line work. But keep in mind, whatever you don't paint will probably look black. So try to paint everything else. So when you're painting UV, see how it looks in the camera, and if it shows up without adding the black, great. If you have to add black, paint all the UV stuff and then add the black next. Let's see here. Any other questions here? Let's see here. yes, the space heater is a great suggestion. Just make sure that you're not bringing everything and the kitchen sink to your gigs, because a lot of times I'll go to a gig and people have so much stuff they look like a bag lady or something. It's just like, what are you doing? Just bring the essentials. Don't bring 1,000 things. Product names you mentioned in the comment section. Dale, please let me know what product you're talking about. I'm guessing you mean like the Shabu and things like that. I will do that actually. All right. I think that's just about it then. Do you use water-based backgrounds, and how do you seal it if you do? That's a very good question actually. Talking about sealant, this is what I might suggest. All sealants pretty much work, but a lot of people don't do them right. They'll paint the model, they'll spray it, and like, why does it come off? The trick is you have to spray the sealant down a couple times first. You mist it on, let it dry for 60 seconds, put on another coat of it, then you paint the model, and then you seal it again. So basically you're putting on a primer, like a base or a barrier, and then you're painting them, and then you're sealing it. That's the proper way to do it if you really want it to work. Let's see here. All right, cool. All right, I will end up typing that stuff in there about the brushes and the cover up. Again, if you're interested in the classes that I was talking about, the lecture on my work and or the characters, let me know. If you'd like to see me teach something, let me know. If you want me at a convention to teach a class, let the organizer know. Follow me on Instagram, Pashur Body Art, Pashur Illustration, Turd Comic. If you feel this info was helpful and you want to drop me a few bucks, I have a virtual tip jar. It's my Venmo. It's at Pashur, but it's not mandatory. It's only if you want to. Like I said, stay tuned tomorrow for the people that are going to be, Michelle Trademan is going to be teaching, I think, how to use the 0G system. And then also Alex J. and Dutch have classes coming up as well. And Donna Nowak, thank you very much for having me here for Programming University. It's my first Facebook Live. I would not say I'm great at it, but, got to start somewhere, right? But thank you. Thanks for having me, and I will catch you all later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.